Yeah, right.
What if I told you one of the most emotionally devastating performances of the 1970s came from a film almost nobody talks about anymore? No shootouts, no big speeches, no Oscar campaigns, just two men, a long road, and a friendship that quietly falls apart in ways that still hurt 50 years later. This is Scarecrow, a film that looks simple, feels gentle, and then absolutely wrecks you if you're paying attention. These are 15 weird facts about Scarecrow you never knew. Number 15. The film almost disappeared before anyone saw it. Here's something wild to start with. Scarecrow nearly vanished before it ever reached an audience. Even with Al Pacino and Gene Hackman attached, studios had no idea what to do with it. No clear genre, no traditional hero, no satisfying payoff executives could sell in a trailer. In an era obsessed with explosions, crime, and big statements, Scarecrow was quiet, sad, and emotionally ambiguous, and that terrified distributors. The film was shelved, delayed, and quietly shuffled aside like an embarrassment. Number 14. Cannes crowned it, America ignored it. You'd think winning one of the highest prizes at the Cannes Film Festival would guarantee instant respect. Not here. Scarecrow took home the Palme d'Or, the same honor given to films now considered untouchable classics. But when it returned to the United States, almost nothing happened. No major awards push, no critical celebration, no cultural moment. American studios didn't know how to reconcile European praise with domestic discomfort. The film's bleak emotional honesty made executives nervous, not proud. So instead of riding the Cannes momentum, Scarecrow was quietly released and quickly forgotten. Number 13. Pacino chose this over guaranteed stardom. At the exact moment when Al Pacino could do anything he wanted, he chose Scarecrow. That decision shocked Hollywood. Fresh off The Godfather, Pacino was the most valuable actor in America. Big studio offers were everywhere. Crime films, action roles, prestige projects designed to win awards, and he turned them down to play Lion, a socially awkward drifter who laughs too loud, fails constantly, and never becomes a hero. Pacino didn't want to be admired. He wanted to be exposed. He later described the role as one of the most personal performances of his career. This wasn't a career move. Number 12. The performance was designed to make you uncomfortable. If you've ever felt slightly irritated watching Pacino in Scarecrow, that reaction is intentional. Lion is not charming. He's needy, loud, emotionally intrusive. Pacino deliberately stripped away the magnetism audiences expected from him. No swagger, no control, no cool. He wanted Lion to feel like someone who doesn't quite understand the rules of human connection and breaks them constantly. That discomfort forces the viewer into Max's perspective, making the emotional tension between the two men painfully real. Pacino believed loneliness wasn't poetic or noble. It was awkward, embarrassing. Number 11. Hackman nearly quit because the role was too quiet. Gene Hackman was used to playing men who explode, cops, criminals, authority figures brimming with rage. Scarecrow asked him to do the opposite. Max is closed off, emotionally buried, and defined by what he doesn't say. Hackman reportedly struggled with how passive the character felt, questioning whether silence could carry a film. At one point, he considered walking away. What changed his mind was realizing the silence was the story. Max's emotional shutdown isn't a flaw. It's the wound. Hackman's restraint, his refusal to release emotion, creates the film's slow-burning tragedy. Number 10. Large parts of the film were quietly improvised. Here's the secret behind why Scarecrow feels so painfully real. Much of it wasn't scripted word for word. Instead of traditional dialogue pages, the actors were often given emotional objectives, what the scene felt like, not what it said. Pacino and Hackman filled in the rest themselves. That's why conversations drift, overlap, repeat, and sometimes go nowhere. Real people don't deliver clean lines. They circle their feelings. They stall. They talk to avoid saying what actually hurts. This loose structure terrified studio executives, but it allowed something rare to happen on screen. Two movie stars behaving like ordinary men trying and failing to connect. Number 9. The camera was treated like a silent hitchhiker. Unlike most early 1970s films, Scarecrow doesn't announce itself visually. No dramatic angles, no showy compositions. Director Jerry Schatzberg shot the film as if the camera were another drifter tagging along unnoticed. Handheld shots, natural light, and real locations dominate the film, giving it an almost documentary feel. This wasn't about style. It was about vulnerability. Schatzberg wanted nothing to distract from the emotional distance between the two men. Even beautiful locations are framed plainly, stripped of romance. The world isn't there to save them. It just exists. Number 8. The title isn't about either man until it is. At first glance, the title Scarecrow seems symbolic but vague. Neither character is literally a scarecrow, but that's the point. A scarecrow looks human from a distance, yet offers no warmth, protection, or real presence. Over time, the film reveals that both men take turns playing that role. One pretends to be strong, the other pretends to be hopeful. Both are standing in emotional fields, exposed, trying to scare away pain they don't know how to confront. The title isn't explained because it doesn't need to be. You feel it. Number 7, the road movie that refuses freedom. Most road movies promise escape. Movement equals freedom. Miles mean healing. Scarecrow quietly rejects that idea. The more Lion and Max travel, the more trapped they become. Each new town offers the same disappointment, the same misunderstandings, the same emotional dead ends. The road doesn't liberate them, it delays the inevitable. This inversion was deliberate. Schatzberg wanted the journey to feel circular, not progressive. No matter how far they walk, they carry their wounds with them. Number 6. The film refused to tell audiences how to feel. Perhaps the strangest thing about Scarecrow is what it never does. It never tells you what to think. There's no swelling music to cue emotion, no speech explaining the theme, no moral resolution neatly tied with a bow. The film trusts the audience to sit with discomfort and uncertainty. That was risky then, and it still is now. Studios feared viewers would feel confused or unsatisfied. What they underestimated was how powerful unresolved emotion can be. Number 5, the friendship was designed to collapse, not grow. Most films about male bonding build toward loyalty, sacrifice, or mutual understanding. Scarecrow does the opposite. From the very beginning, the friendship between Lion and Max is constructed with fault lines baked in. One needs connection too much, the other fears it completely. Every warm moment is followed by discomfort. Every joke hides desperation. This isn't a friendship meant to survive. It's one meant to expose what happens when two broken people mistake proximity for healing. The film never romanticizes their bond. It studies it. And as the cracks widen, the movie refuses to step in and repair them. Number 4. The film treats masculinity as a quiet tragedy. There's no villain in Scarecrow, no system to fight, no enemy to defeat. The real antagonist is something much harder to confront: emotional illiteracy. Both men have been taught that strength means silence, that vulnerability is weakness, that needing someone is shameful. The film never lectures about masculinity. It simply lets it fail in real time. Moments that could have become emotional breakthroughs are swallowed instead. Apologies don't land. Comfort arrives too late. Number 3. The ending was never meant to offer closure. Audiences often remember the ending of Scarecrow as bleak, but that's not entirely accurate. It's unresolved, and that's worse. There's no final lesson, no redemptive act, no emotional release that makes the journey feel worthwhile. Life simply intervenes. One character is removed from the story not by choice, but by circumstance. The other is left standing, unable to process what's happened. The film cuts away before healing can begin, or before it can be denied. Number 2, it was too honest for its own era. In the early 1970s, American cinema was bold, but Scarecrow was something else entirely. It wasn't rebellious, it wasn't stylish, it didn't flatter its audience. It asked viewers to sit with sadness that had no clear cause and no clear solution. That level of emotional nakedness made people uncomfortable. Critics didn't know how to frame it, studios didn't know how to sell it, and audiences weren't sure how to talk about it. The film arrived before conversations about male loneliness, trauma, and emotional suppression had language. Number 1, it's one of the most accurate portraits of loneliness ever filmed. Strip away the awards, the trivia, the history, and what remains is this: Scarecrow understands loneliness better than almost any film of its era. Not the dramatic kind, not the poetic kind, the everyday kind. The kind where people talk too much or not at all, where jokes become shields, where silence becomes habit. The film doesn't sensationalize isolation, it normalizes it. That's why it still hits so hard decades later. Bonus fact: the film quietly changed the careers of everyone involved. Scarecrow didn't create box office stars. It didn't launch franchises. What it did was something far rarer. It permanently changed how its creators approached their work. After this film, Al Pacino became far more selective, drawn to roles that explored emotional damage rather than power. Gene Hackman leaned deeper into restraint, proving that silence could be just as commanding as rage. Some movies fade because they age. Others fade because they tell the truth too early. Scarecrow didn't fail, it waited. And if you found it now when it finally makes sense, maybe it was never meant to be seen any sooner.